So I feel a little bit bad because I didn't bring the camera out with me yesterday when I did this, but I had a potato plant right there that was starting to look a little bit wilted and faded, which is actually what happens when they're ready to harvest. So I dug it up and got a small amount of potatoes that is going to be part of what I make today because I was excited to see if I got anything. And I did. So we are going to make them along with a lovely, hopefully, pot roast. Here's my not very large, but enough for a meal haul of potatoes. I'm kind of excited about it. And this pot roast is going to be sort of an all-day affair that is going to absolutely torture me with good smells. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my oven on 350 and get out my roast. So the first step in a truly good, pretty much any roast, is to get it all seasoned. And then I'm using my wonderful cast iron crock pot. Or not crock pot, but cast iron Dutch oven. And I found this back on a shelf in the basement when I first moved here. I think it was either my mom's or my grandma's. And that's the best part about cast iron, is it lasts forever. So what you're going to do is put a little bit of oil in the bottom and get it nice and hot, and then sear off your meat just for a couple minutes on each side before it goes into the oven, because that makes the flavor amazing. So once you get your meat seared, what you're going to do is add about 2 cups of broth. I don't actually have broth, but I do have bouillon cubes and water, which is kind of the same thing. I feel bad because a lot of times I actually will make my own broth, but I haven't lately, so I'm just going to do it the easy way. Now the other thing I was actually planning on doing today before I dug up some potatoes, which I've got all scrubbed up and ready for when it's time to add them to the roast, is I'm actually going to also make a carrot cake today, kind of as a if you were here to a good friend whose birthday is coming up, but obviously if that friend is not around, it's just going to be eaten by a little bit by me, but mostly by my son. But I thought the carrot cake would be a fun thing to make. So what you're going to need is enough carrots to end up with about 1.5 cups of shredded carrot, which will take a while. So I'm going to get to that. So after far more labor than it probably should have been, I got my carrots shredded. You need about 1.5 cups of shredded carrots. And then the other stuff you need 1.5 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup of sugar, 2 eggs lightly beaten, a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, a teaspoon of vanilla, and then your carrots. And you're just going to mix the dry, add in the wet, and then put it in the oven. So let's get to it. That is all of my dry ingredients into this bowl, and I'm just going to sort of mix it up a little bit. The cinnamon gives it a good color. Now I don't know if it was to this recipe or another one, added a little bit of ginger to it, because ginger is sort of a holiday spice, which is pretty good. You could probably also add nutmeg to it, depending on what you wanted. I like to kind of just experiment a little bit once you get the basics down, but we're just going to go straight with this one. So now we're going to add our wet ingredients, which is our eggs, oil, and vanilla. Okay, once you've got your basic batter mixed, you're just going to add in your carrots. This might be more than 1.5 cups, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And then you're just going to get that all mixed in and get it into a greased pan. So let me get that done. Alright, you're just going to kind of spread it in so it's nice and even. And I have made these into muffins as well, if you don't want to make it as a entire cake. The instructions are exactly the same, except of course you'd be putting it into muffin tin or cupcake cups. But other than that, we are going to pop this into the oven for 22 to 25 minutes. You do the toothpick test to check on it and make sure that it's good. And in the meantime, my oven just beeped, which I'm doing at the same time, my roast, because it's time to put the vegetables in with the roast for another hour for that. Here we're just checking on the roast. It actually looks pretty darn good. It's not to the fall apart stage yet, but that's okay. It's got like another hour to go. But we are going to add our vegetables. I just chopped up my potato that I got out of the garden, some carrots, and an onion, and we are going to add that in, then put this all back in the oven for about another hour. So, as you can see, it's ready to go back in. Alright, it looks like it's done. It took a little bit longer than I thought, probably because it has a roast to compete with down there in the oven, but we're going to go ahead and pull it out. So, I think it looks pretty good. Once that's cooled, I'm going to make up the cream cheese icing that goes on it. And if I were feeling really fancy, I would pull it out of the pan and, you know, ice the sides and that. But honestly, I'm feeling lazy, so this is going to stay in the pan and just be a mom cake. So the icing for this is really, really easy. It's 4 ounces of cream cheese, which is half of a block of the just regular whatever kind of cream cheese you get. I got actually Philadelphia this time. But, you know, it's sold as 8-ounce packages, so it's a half a package of cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla, and then you just whip it up. And that's about it. And this looks like it's done. I'm going to let it rest for about 10 minutes, but the vegetables are tender, which is what you're looking for. And then I'm going to see if this meat has to be carved or if it's just going to fall apart for me. Not sure which one it's going to do, but it looks good, and it's been torturing me with amazing smells for the last couple hours. So we shall see. Alright, so the roast is all done and carved. I'm just making up a really quick brown gravy out of the juices to go with it. And then for after, the cake is iced. So, once I get it plated up, I'll show you, and then I will leave the recipe for the cake in the description. And also, once again, everybody wish a happy birthday to my friend who lives down in South Texas, who actually is kind of the reason I started the channel, and definitely is the reason I started reading the books. So, you know, everybody wish a happy birthday to my friend Lon. Alright, and there we go. A nice simple pot roast with homegrown potatoes and carrots and a little bit of onion for my sons. So, simple, easy, not too bad tasting, and with a carrot cake for later. Just figured I would get a quick shot of the carrot cake before it gets eaten and show you that, yeah, it's got a lot of carrot bits in it. It's pretty good stuff. Like I said, I didn't do the ginger in it this time. It makes it, I guess, a little more Christmassy, if that makes sense for carrot cake. But it does rise. The baking soda in it makes it rise and makes it pretty good. So if you have anybody that's into carrot cake in your life, it's a fairly easy thing to make. The hardest part of it is shredding the carrots. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you for the next time that I do all this. Have a good one.